Hi, I'm Iris from Iris Impressions Art, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to mix turquoise. Turquoise is one of my favorite colors, and I obviously buy it in all the paints that I use, but sometimes you want to know how to mix your own paint, which is very exciting. Sometimes you don't have turquoise in a certain paint color, so you would want to mix it yourself, or sometimes a set of paint that you buy doesn't come with turquoise. Like, what is that? But in that case, it is also handy to know how to mix turquoise. So that's what I'm going to show you. The only three things that you will need for this tutorial is white paint, blue paint, and yellow paint. So I hope you find this video useful. I hope you're going to have lots of fun mixing your own colors, mixing your own turquoise. And let's get into the tutorial. I'm going to show you how to mix my favorite, well, one of my favorite colors, which is turquoise. You need yellow, white, and blue. That is all you need. The only thing that I need to say is that you will be most successful if the blue that you have is a cold blue, meaning that it is a blue that leans towards kind of greenish on the color spectrum rather than a blue that leans towards violet or purple. The yellow that you use, you'd like it to be leaning towards green as well rather than towards orange, although I would say having the cold blue is the most important. The yellow is not as important. You can still have a good result even if you have a warm blue, like for example ultramarine. I will also show you what happens when you use a warm blue as opposed to a cold blue. And as always, when it comes to color mixing, confidence and knowing what you're doing comes from doing it a lot, and your results will vary depending on what paints that you're using. But that's the reason that I am showing lots of different paints. I'm showing heavy body acrylic, I'm going to be showing fluid acrylic, I'm going to be showing woody crayons, watercolor, and gouache. And you can achieve some form of turquoise with anything as long as you follow this one simple recipe. So let's get going. I'm going to start out with my heavy body acrylics. The main color that you're going to be using for this is white. And then you're going to be using a little bit of your preferably cold blue and a little bit, an even littler bit of yellow. So let's see what happens. I'm going to be mixing them into the white. So first I'm going to be mixing in this blue into the white, which it does what you expect, basically. It's creating a very, a much lighter version of that blue. And then I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. And we're already starting to see this becoming a bit more turquoise. I think I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. And at this point in time, once you're starting to see something that resembles a turquoisey color, you can start to add a little bit more of one or a little bit more of the other until it starts to resemble a color that you're happy with. So we still see a little bit of that baby blue on the side, and you can really see how different that looks from when we added the yellow. It really has become a more greeny blue. This is quite a light turquoise so far, I would say. I might want to add a bit more of this blue and want to mix it really well. And this, to me, looks like turquoise. And because I'm a bit of a nerd, I'm going to take a sketchbook. I'm going to add a little bit of this to this sketchbook, and then later on I can write down what it was, and I'll just have a little, I'll have a little record of the different supplies that I used to make turquoise. So that was, actually I'll write it down now, Amsterdam heavy body acrylics. And I am very familiar with my paints, so I know which ones I chose, but if you've got loads of paints or you're not so familiar with them, you might want to make a note of the colors that you used that allowed you to achieve that color, that mix. Okay, so now I promised to show you what would happen if we used a warm blue instead of a cold blue. So this has all got to do with color theory, what happens when you mix different colors, and I'm not going to go into this in this video because I want to kind of keep it simple, but it all has to do with where things are on the color wheel, what kind of relationships they have with the colors that you're mixing them into, and then how they react. So I'm gonna start out with my white again, and this time I'm going to add this warmer blue. So you can already see, oh, actually this looks fairly similar right now to what happened with the other one. I think the other one was just slightly more kind of baby bluish. Actually, this is more baby blue. This is more powder blue. Ugh, I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, adding a bit of that yellow. And you can see it's starting to get a bit green now. But it is much more of a kind of dirty green, kind of a neutral, I don't know what you describe this as, but it is a much more neutral, muddy green, whereas this, you can see, is the really like nice turquoise. But you're not going to be able to achieve a proper turquoise with a warm blue. So there you go. As promised, the difference. That is still a very nice color though. That's a really nice neutral, whereas this is a much more kind of in-your-face color. But so you'll know that if you are trying to follow this tutorial to mix turquoise and it's not working out like this type of color, you're getting something more like that color, you'll know that it's probably because you've used a warm blue, even if it doesn't say on your paint bottle that it is a warm or a cold blue. Okay, next up, I am going to have a go at the fluid acrylics. So again, I'm starting out with white. A fly buzzing around the room. It's terrible. This blue, which is primary cyan, is a very nice, cool blue. So this should work really well, I'm hoping. I didn't test this beforehand because that's just how I work. This yellow I'm using is a slightly warmer yellow though. And there we go, that looks like a turquoise. So you're not going to be able to match the same color necessarily as the one that you've mixed with a different set of paints. If you kind of take the color as its own, kind of on its own, then, you know, I think that I have achieved a turquoise there. So I'm going to pop that one into my sketchbook, write down what it was. Okay, next up, let's have a go at the gouache. I think you know the drill by now. I'm going to use a little bit of water to make this easier. So I'm starting with the white, adding in some blue. And obviously the more blue you use, the stronger the color is going to become. There we go, that one was actually really easy. I can add a little bit more yellow and it's going to go slightly more towards that minty green color to the slightly more blue color. So that was a nice one. So let's put that one in the notebook. Next up, I'm going to do watercolors. You don't necessarily use white in watercolors very often, but in order to get to a turquoisey color, unless you have bought turquoise as a watercolor, you will need to use some white in order to mix it. So I'm going to give these little spritz. It is basically the same as what we did before. And there we go. That was easy. And again, like, we're getting slightly different results. So that is a kind of very blue turquoise, and this is a more kind of minty green turquoise. So I'm going to pop that into my sketchbook here. I think that was Schminke watercolors. And then finally, I wanted to show you how you can do this with woodies as well. Not necessarily because you're going to, but I just wanted to illustrate the kind of the process. So I'm going to use this palette paper for this, and I am going to put the colors together. Mix them in like this, and we've got turquoise again. So I just wanted to illustrate that, like, the principle is the same no matter what media you're working with. You can make turquoise with this recipe every time. Stabilo woodies. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial on how to make and mix turquoise. I hope you're going to mix loads of exciting turquoise colors with your paints. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you enjoy my content in general and would like to have more, then please check out my Patreon, where I upload more videos and I do stickers and postcards and all that fun stuff, and a podcast as well. I hope to see you there or here or anywhere, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!